In the last episode, Cosmic Love Elements, we talked about Prime Video's new reality dating series, Cosmic Love. At a cosmic compound, 4 of the core elements, fire, earth, water, and air, are brought together with 16 other singles looking for love. Each of the core 4 elements have at least 4 guaranteed matches among the 16, and their challenge is to figure out who they are through the study of astrology. Apollo's landing episodes are intended to be brief. The last episode went a little longer. A quick show synopsis was intertwined with an in-depth look at elements, planets, and aspects. If you made it to the end, you also got a brief explanation of my partner and I's synastry by way of astrology. You're encouraged to share your cosmic chemistry with your current or past lovers. How have you grown, and what have you learned from matching certain aspects? Prime's show, Cosmic Love, is a very personal and vulnerable dating series, and it's solely based on your faith in the stars. Even more so, your faith in the universe. By the end of the season, our core 4 must pick one perfect match to marry. Even if you haven't watched Cosmic Love on Prime Video, start it with your best friend or favorite snuggle buddy now. Also, if you haven't listened to episode 3, go listen now. This has been mentioned in many ways before, but writing is something I've been doing since I was a child. My earliest memories were when my parents first divorced in 6th grade. My mother would take me to her mother's house while she worked overnight. All night, I would write poems and fictional stories in composition notebooks. I'd record raps on an Acer laptop with instrumentals I downloaded from LimeWire. In my classes, I spent most of my time writing poetry and eventually filled up 3-inch binders with pages of my handwriting. All of those journals and binders are sitting in my mother's attic now, but the point is I have always loved to write. Any form of writing is therapeutic and extremely enjoyable for me. From time to time, I still release music on SoundCloud just because it makes me feel good. I wouldn't turn down a freestyle challenge, but I'm proud to say I write my own raps, and sometimes I write stuff for my extremely talented friends. Shout out Naeem Edwards. It's all a creative outlet for my Leo Sun, Mercury, and Venus, as well as a release for my intense, emotional Scorpio moon. Writing is an important key to self-discovery, self-love, and self-awareness, just like this podcast. For some people, the idea of writing things down feels like completing a homework assignment, and they feel as though they can find other ways to productively express their thoughts and feelings. You should. You should do whatever makes you happy. I'm just encouraging you to keep notes along the way. Regardless if you don't know where to start or can't think of much to say, even if you have a physical disability, there's speech to text, voice memo, braille. Even if privacy is an issue, there are plenty of note apps available for download, if one isn't already on your phone. I mean, you can even have some fun with it and make a Finsta, fake Instagram account, or a private Twitter account where you tweet your goals and affirmations to yourself. There really are no excuses, besides the ones you invent in order to justify your actions or inactions. As with anything in life, you have to hold yourself accountable, even if you don't write every day. Once a week or even twice a month is more than enough to see the self-transformation. Sometimes, when I feel like I need to write but don't even know how or what to say, I'll write just that. I don't know, which is followed by every thought that comes to mind after that. Honestly, I just write to relieve the tension, the stress, to give the obsessive thoughts in my head a new place to live. When I close that journal, it's out of sight and out of mind. The truth is, it doesn't matter what it says, it's only for you to read. Eventually, you'll want to start making full sentences, so a year from now, you can remember what the words "forget yellow" meant. As a Scorpio moon, I usually keep my journal somewhere secure and safe, even around people I trust. My philosophy is, unless you want your journal to be an option on the coffee table when guests come over, then don't treat it as such. Regardless, it's yours to use for whatever you want and however you feel is best. Your creative ideas, sketches, dreams, affirmations, tarot readings, moon rituals, good days or bad days, or all of the above. At the start of what I consider my spiritual awakening, I was feeling completely defeated and bottomed out. On top of that, I had no spiritual faith in myself or the universe. Astrology was there, but I wasn't really making deeper connections with it. In a sense, I had cultivated a vast physical understanding of astrology and spirituality, but not yet a metaphysical connection. To overcome this, I started small with a prompt journal. After my car was repossessed in October of 2018, I purchased the 5-Minute Journal by Intelligent Change. At that point in my life, I felt as though the reason everything sucked so bad was because I was not expressing gratitude for the things I had, but was instead going about life angry at the universe for all that I did not have. Every day was a bad day. I complained a lot. There were 100 reasons to fight and 0 to laugh. It had been a year since I graduated college, and my part-time job wasn't making things any better. Even though I had landed the job 6 months after graduating, and it was in my career field, I wasn't a bit grateful because the hours and pay were a joke. Instead of being thankful to have a foot in the door, I was literally kicking the door. Then in October, right as I had started working 3 jobs to support living on my own, my car was gone. That was the final straw. Realizing that there was no further place to fall, I had to look up. Through the 5-Minute Journal, I started expressing gratitude as a means of manifestation. It's very similar to the idea that if you can change your mind, you can change your life. For the 5-Minute Journal by Intelligent Change, you are guided to complete the same writing prompts every day. In the morning, you write 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things that would make your day great, and an affirmation or 2. Every night, on the same page you started that morning, you write 3 amazing things that happened that day, and 3 things that could have made your day better. The 5-Minute Journal was very instrumental in teaching me how to practice manifestation and gratitude. Not to mention, it's cited as being utilized by celebrities like Jim Carrey. So since I had no car that year, I remember being a real bahumbug around Christmas. I was telling my friends that I wasn't going to purchase a Christmas tree because I just wasn't in the spirit. The journal had only been in my possession for a couple of months when a Leo invited me to enjoy some drinks at the place of a couple they were close to. It was cold, There was even snow on the ground, but for some reason, I obliged. At some point in the evening, one of the homeowners came downstairs with a Christmas tree still in the box. They said they had bought an extra one and asked if I or the Leo wanted to take it. It was the most random thing that could possibly have happened, and therefore it was a sign for me. Specifically because I was repeatedly telling my friends I wasn't going to put up a Christmas tree. To them, I was just being a Grinch, when in fact, there was a much deeper underlying reason. Leo already had a tree and immediately told them to give it to me in hopes it would spread some holiday cheer. In return, this tree really did help me get into the holiday spirit. It restored my faith. Even though I felt sad about where my life was, I was still expressing gratitude every day in that journal. I was still finding any 3 reasons to be grateful. Grateful that the sun came up. Grateful that a stranger held the door. Grateful I didn't spill my coffee. Sometimes if you can just find reasons to be grateful for what you do have, the universe will give you even more to be grateful for. The power is in writing your affirmations and intentions. This is not to negate how devastating COVID-19 was when it first hit, but it did come with some blessings in disguise. We could save gas by working from home. Credit scores shot up due to the student loan payment freeze, and the government sent out stimulus checks. In April 2020, after showing gratitude in the 5-minute journal for a new car I didn't even own yet, since October 2018, I finally purchased the exact car I had set my eyes on a year prior. It wouldn't have been possible without remaining open to freelance work, a pandemic, and believing that the car was mine before I even got it. Even though in 2019, it seemed like there was nothing to look forward to, I had no idea what the universe had in store next. Astrologer Chani Nicholas once said something along the lines of, the term manifestation is being used to make the universe look like Santa Claus, when that's not the case at all. Writing that you're going to win the Mega Millions every day for a year, and then continuing to play the same numbers for a year without really being intentional about it, probably won't manifest anything. A big key to manifestation is being intentional. In business, they call it making a SMART goal, or a goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based or timely. If the goal isn't a SMART one, odds are you won't reach it anytime soon. You have to be specific about what it is you want to manifest. It has to be measurable, so this means being able to track your progress and see some sort of result, whether positive or negative. Is it even achievable? Do you have all the tools and resources you need to achieve your goal? Is this goal even relevant to who you are or the direction in which you're going? If not, then why are you going so hard for it? Set a deadline, so it's time-based, meaning this is the date by which you hope to achieve this ultimate goal. When the date comes, this is when you go back and review the progress and decide next steps. Is it time to set a new SMART goal, or is it time to create a SMART goal for something entirely different? This is how you become intentional about what it is you want for yourself. If you write every day for a year that you want to win the Mega Millions, and every day for a year you also study the patterns of the lottery, experiment with other games and numbers, and read a bunch of literature on it, you could win a good bit of money. It may not be the Mega Millions, but By showing you are intentional and simply had a love for the game or a joy for what it brings to your overall well-being, the universe may show you a thing or two. I'd take 10,000 in total winnings after a year of being intentional and call it a success, but that's just me. The 5-minute journal is only intended to last 6 months, but it lasted until the end of 2019 for me. I would write for months at a time, take breaks, and come back. As I approached my last few entries, I started wondering if I should order a new 5-minute journal or just buy a journal with blank pages that allowed me to write freely. Around the time I had started searching for journals on Amazon, my best friend, a Cancer, told me that their roommate had given them a journal for Christmas. They asked me if I wanted it instead because they weren't really a journal person. It was perfect timing. Not to mention, look at the journal. Aesthetically, the entire book is dipped in gold. The cover art was created by a master map maker from Spain in 1375 and features the 4 elements, 7 planets, zodiac signs, moon phases, and the 4 seasons. It's also embossed for a 3D effect. It is hardcover with classic bookbinding and a gold bookmark ribbon. Even better, the Cosmology journal and several others like it are available for purchase from Pauper Press for $15.99. It's a beautiful gift from the universe for my faithful year of expressing gratitude and affirming my destiny. The perfect journal. On the 3rd day of 2020, the Cosmology journal was placed in my possession. That same day, I wrote front to back through page 14. First, I wrote out all the important stuff I retained in my head because I knew it was at the front of the journal. I wrote out my natal chart, including the houses and degrees. I broke down the house systems, zodiac elements and qualities, my Saturn return date and time, notes from astrology apps in my phone, and then I just wrote. My first entry led to my discovery of a major event in history that held strong astrological coincidences to my own life and astrology. Listen to episode 1, The Astrology of It All, for more. The point is, I wrote a lot in this book about anything and everything related to cosmology and my life on lined, acid-free archival paper. By the end of January, I had written through page 98, front to back. By the end of February, page 149. As of today, I am on my 5th journal since the Cosmology journal. This is my 4th Peter Pauper, and I have a 5th Peter Pauper waiting to become my 6th journal once I finish my current Pauper. Even with those journals, I have plenty more notebooks in all shapes, sizes, and colors. I have notebooks for all types of use cases. Last month, I bought a graph notebook just because I wanted to write on graph paper. I don't know why, it just felt good to write on graph paper. When I realized I had a serious problem where I really couldn't stop writing, I investigated my natal chart further. Upon doing so, I discovered several placements and aspects that specifically call out an individual who has a natural gift for written and spoken communication. Those being my Sun in Mercury conjunct in Leo, my Mars in Gemini, and Jupiter in Virgo. When your Sun and Mercury are conjunct or in the same sign as each other, which is the same for a lot of people, it usually just means who you are and how you communicate are one and the same. My Mercury in Leo also sextiles my Mars in Gemini. Last episode, we learned that sextile aspects indicate great potential between two planets. They stimulate one another. bringing ease of flow. For me, Gemini, the sign that is ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication, is occupying Mars, the planet of action. With my Mars in Gemini sextile to my Mercury in Leo, consider last episode's discussion about elements in relation to this aspect. The elements that are present between my Mercury and Mars are fire and air. That's our highly combustible, quick to burn out, spaceship ready for liftoff combination. In reality, talking this calm and collected is a challenge for me. I actually talk really fast. My thoughts are 10 clicks ahead of the words coming out of my mouth. The trouble with that is, sometimes I can barely catch the words coming out of my mouth. It's also hard for me to focus on one thing at a time. I will start working on one thing, then leave it to do something I just remembered, and while doing that, will walk away to do something new I just thought of. It's not uncommon for me to try and finish someone's sentence because in my mind, I literally have already got to the end of what it is you're about to say. Literally, the conversation has already ended, and in my mind, I'm working on something else. Of course, astrology has made me more self-aware of these traits, and therefore I practice putting my communication skills to good use. And remaining aware of my tendencies as someone with their Gemini Mars and sextile to their Leo Mercury. My natal chart as a whole indicates an intellectual individual who is able to inspire and lead others through the power of spoken and written word. Though Jupiter is considered to be suffering or in detriment when occupied by Gemini or Virgo, Jupiter is still the planet of luck, knowledge, and expansion. In my case, my Virgo Jupiter trines my Capricorn Neptune. Let's say trines. I usually read the word, I don't speak it. Neptune is the planet of illusions, dreams, or the imagination. It is ruled by Pisces and the 12th house. With Jupiter in trine to Neptune, there is again a harmonious connection of planetary energy here. When planets are in trine to one another, they share the same element and therefore are supportive and rewarding. The planet of luck, knowledge, and expansion in trine with Neptune, planet that rules the deepest realms of the imagination, we see an individual who does well in a career with music, poetry, psychology, philosophy, and they can help or teach others by sharing their own understanding. Remember, for career insight, we can always look at planets in our 10th house, Saturn, or Jupiter, in that order. The answers are there when you study your natal chart. They may not be clear the first time or the first year, but if you continue to study the signs, the elements, the planets, the aspects, it will all come together before your eyes. The key is to be consistent, intentional, and the best way to keep track of it all is to take notes along the way. I write about everything because I love to write. It's always been a part of my life and will always be. If I wasn't sure about it before, astrology certainly made it clear. You never know what you will discover within your own writing or from what you discover has been written in the stars. You're on Apollo's landing.